use in different countries, cities, other places. The applicable plans that we develop. And you'll see these as we go along. Note that we have millions and thousands of organizations and people working on this. However, they're not collaborating and working together. So we're missing things, we're duplicating many efforts, and we're getting further behind in many areas. And I say here, for example, equality. Now, Eric Fromm points out when you make a change, you have to make simultaneous changes in all the associated spheres. So this means that we have to have a comprehensive holistic strategy, standard action plans. And so this is what we've tried to do here. We'll go on down and take a look at the, just look briefly, please, at the Universal Strategic Plan to prepare target action plans for all the targets. And this plan basically shows where the money will come from. It shows that we need to develop what I call target action plan TAPs for all the 169 HCG targets. And this has a standard number system that we'll talk about when we look at the actual targets. So you can read this later on, but I'd like to go ahead and go to what we call Target Action 45. And this is the plan to rapidly end the use of nuclear weapons, which is the #1 priority. It ends wars, ends unemployment, poverty, and in particular it's aimed at speeding up and improving recovery of the Persian Gulf, of the Caribbean and the Gulf Coast of the United States. Now we need to do many of these things as rapidly as possible, and of course in the rest of the world. So we need to figure out a way to tie this all together. So I'm going to click on this tab 45, and now we'll see on this tab that the same thing we talked about, it's the plan. Now one thing about this is I try to stay away from using isms on this. The idea is do things in the most effective and efficient way possible. So we've got about 43 target action plans. There's about another probably 60 to go to get all the 169 targets. But what I want to do is show how this works. Down here we'll see tab 18 and paragraph 45.1. So if anyone had a suggestion for changing that, all you need to do is say 45.1 is that paragraph. 45 is the first two digits of the document, and point 1 is, in this case, has tab 18. So let's tap on this. I'm going to open this, and we'll see a couple of really important points. One of the big questions today is about these nuclear weapons. Now, I was the XO of the #2 officer on a fleet domestic submarine in 1972, and we could have wiped out over 100 cities. I would have done that because that's what I was getting paid for and working. But I see now how stupid it was. So anyway, and I didn't know about the Kellogg-Briand Pact of 1928. So here it's written up here. It's also written up under proof that all wars use the force nuclear and other offensive weapons in it. And the doctrine of most assured destruction are all illegal, unlawful under international law. And what the Kellogg-Briand Treaty Pact says in paragraph 18.1.2, part 1 and 2, is we solemnly declare that the signatories condemn recourse to war for the solution of international controversies. So the United States agreed to this and passed it. It became law for the United States in 1929. And the most important words are there at 18.1.2.2. Now, read along with me. Agree, the United States agrees, and the other countries of the world, that the settlement or solution of all disputes or conflicts of whatever nature or whatever origin they may be, which may arise among them, shall never be sought except by pacific, that means peaceful, means. So paragraph 18.1.3, what that means, if anyone were to fire a nuclear weapon at us, or any offensive weapon, the United States cannot legally, lawfully defend itself, because that would be unlawful. Plus, it would be really stupid to fire back a nuclear weapon, because that contamination is going to end up here too. So it also could mean you could get into exchange. Now, the other point I'd like to make is, if the president, 18.1.4, if he ordered anyone to fire a nuclear weapon or weapons, it would be an unlawful order, and it must be disobeyed. And this explains why. When you could have a chance, read a little bit more of this. So what I'd like to do is go on down here. Getting rid of the nuclear weapons and ending wars is really important. Now, here's the table of contents. And the way the numbering system works is, in every target action plan, 18.1 is the introduction, the first two digits of a document number. Point 2 is the purpose. Point 3 is objective. And the main thing is the actions. And these actions, you can click on each one of these, and it'll go to a little more of a write-up. Now, there's still a lot of work to be done on these, so we've got a pretty good outline. I sincerely appreciate as many people as possible working on this. And the idea is this plan would be replicated so any country, hopefully the nuclear-armed countries. So what we're saying here is negotiate. That's what we're required to do in the Keller-Benz Treaty with all the nuclear-armed nations. That includes in particular Korea, to immediately end the use and disassemble disable all nuclear weapons. Now, I think anybody sensible would want to do that, and then take all of them off of alert, permanently disable them, and as soon as possible put them under the joint control of the U.S. and United Nations. We can click on any of these, you'll see a little more information. So once we get well, we should do this almost simultaneously. Since wars are against the law, they're unlawful, illegal, we should immediately order unilateral ceasefires in the United States, end all use of force, and settle by specific means. As you'll see, there's a plan here for each, and it's the same way with ISIS. We should not be bombing these cities. We should try to negotiate with ISIS, and specific means would be to file a criminal complaint. Now, we'll talk about that later. And so here are some really important points. We would end all of combat operations. Now, there's a lot of other steps that go into this. Turn over most of the overseas bases and facilities property to the UN. The UN peacekeepers and Interpol, the international police, and affiliates, and they could use these offices to help implement the UN SDGs, and also have, and we'll talk about it in a minute, enforce laws worldwide, not be a national government. We'll talk about it. We're going to assign select armed forces personnel and government employees to the UN peacekeepers, international police. So they get some of the bases. Maybe they probably don't need them all, but we would also assign people to them so they can resolve the problems that, for example, going on in Myanmar.